Good day, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic.
Here we go again.
They keep saying we patriots, we conservatives, we Americans, but every time a brown face shows up in the photo, that we starts to shrink. Vivek Ramaswamy just learned that Candace Owens still hasn't accepted it yet, and the rest of the immigrant right-wing influencers will find out soon enough. You can wave the flag, you can quote the founding fathers, you can even worship the same capitalists that built the chains, but to them, you'll never be white. You'll never be white enough to belong. So this evening, we're going to talk about race as a theory. We're talking about the hierarchy, the invisible contract that built white supremacy into the DNA of the American right, and why every brown face that signs the contract ends up betrayed by it. Trump just didn't endorse, or rather, let's look at it. He did endorse Vivek Ramaswamy. Trump backs young, strong, smart Vivek Ramaswamy for Ohio governor race. That's what he's done. Sounds powerful on paper until you remember that Ohio is 77% white and overwhelmingly Christian. He endorsed a Hindu son of Indian immigrants in a state where Christian values isn't a slogan, it's the border. Ann Coulter said it out loud. You guys remember that clip. I still wouldn't vote for you because you're Indian. In her racist tirade and her racist rant that she just had to denigrate black people in the same breath. She wouldn't vote for him simply because he's an Indian. Doesn't matter how articulate he is. Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum he's on. Racism still exists right here in America. It doesn't matter what side you believe that you think you're on. As I stated before, Ann Coulter said it out loud, very loud. I still wouldn't vote for you because you're ignorant.
Yeah, but
that wasn't an accident. That was a confession. Every immigrant who climbs into MAGA house gets the same welcome. You can speak, just not for us. You can help, just not the lead. Vivek talks about merit. He talks about law and order, earned citizenship. But the same base cheering him is fighting to erase the very law that made him American. If you look at that United States case versus Wong Kim Ark back in 1898, the Supreme Court case that defined birthright citizenship. Without it, Vivek isn't a citizen. He's a visitor, and the right has been openly plotting to gut it for years. Trump himself called it to end birthright citizenship. So did DeSantis out of Florida. So did multiple GOP governors. You can't champion their movement while it campaigns to undo your very existence. That's not patriotism. That's political Stockholm syndrome, Vivek. Let's be honest. Brown conservatives like Vivek Ramaswamy and Dinesh D'Souza were never brought into diversity power. They were brought into lauder prejudice through pigment. To say the things white conservatives can't say without losing their sponsors, you can say it because you have melanin. To attack black Americans, even immigrants, Muslims, and even progressive, while pretending it's not racism, it's just policy, huh?
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
Vivek said America worships white mediocrity. The base remembered. They never forgave him for that. You're calling us mediocre? What? Now, those same crowds flood social media with go back to India jokes, cow memes, and make India great again slurs. That's not a glitch. That's the operating system. They love him when he attacked us all the time. When they attacked black people, you saw him with his smug face and his smug look, laughing and smiling until she said, I won't vote for you because you're Indian.
No way. No.
They turned on him the moment he reminded him that he's not one of them. As soon as he said white mediocrity, they told and turned the page on him. This is part of the right-wing immigrants that they never understand. See, when I look at when right-wing people, all these other countries that have dark melanin like Vivek Ramaswamy or Dinesh D'Souza, they just don't get it. Whiteness is not about citizenship. It's about hierarchy. It's about you can buy the house, but you can never own the neighborhood.
It is what it is.
You can mimic the culture of white or white supremacy, but you'll never master the caste. You'll never be one of us. That's why the same movement that shouts legal immigration still despises immigrants who look like immigrants. They'll hire you in Silicon Valley, have you to write their billion-dollar software programs. They'll praise your discipline. They'll use your story, but they'll never see your children as real Americans. And for foundational Black Americans, this isn't new to us. It's the same system that gave white refugee free land in 1862, slave owners reparations in 1863, and white veterans a GI Bill in 1944 by telling us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, even though we didn't have any boots. Every outrage is an ad campaign. Every anti-woke rant is a revenue stream. They sell gold coins, prepared food, Patriot Mobile, and miracle vitamins while pretending to save the Western civilization, and brown faces like Vivik's are the perfect marketing tool, proof that racism doesn't exist, but evidence. Anyone can make it. They camouflage this con and they use people like him. But when the algorithm shifts, when the base stops buying, they're very, very expendable. Ask Candace on all the different platforms and Turning Point USA and the Heritage Foundation and PragerU, all these different organizations that used and abused and kicked her out. Even though today she has the #1 podcast, even over Joe Rogan. But it's all behind the death of her friend, Charlie Kirk, that she's making a bag off of. But I digress.
We are gonna die. I'm out of here.
But anyway, ask Dinesh D'Souza. When they called him a foreign scammer, ask every immigrant conservative who realized too late that the paycheck was rent, not membership. See, you can feel it online. The mutiny brewing within the MAGA bloodstream, white voters posting that they'd rather vote for a liberal white man than a brown conservative, influencers ranting about H-1B invaders, birthright frauds, and brown replacement. It's the same grievance politics that Trump weaponized, now turning his own important foot soldiers. They told these immigrants, you're one of the good ones. Then when it stopped being useful, they added a new line, but don't forget where you come from because we'll put you right back in your place.
Oh, what a loser!
Now the dogs that they trained are watching their masters pick up that whip again and realizing too late they were never in command. Proximity to power isn't power. It's performance. You can stand beside the throne and still be beneath it. See, the brown pundits on the right confuse visibility with validity. They see a seat at the table and forget who built the table, who served the food, and who's cleaning up afterwards. They think parading oppression language earns them freedom in America, but all it buys them is silence when their own oppression appears. See, white supremacy doesn't need you to love it. It just needs you to help it breathe a little bit longer. Foundational Black Americans, we know something the imported right never will because we lived it, we studied it, not simulated it, but we survived it. We understand how government policy became a racial inheritance. Compensating emancipation, paying white enslavers, Homestead Act grifting stolen indigenous land, FHA loans locking black families out of home ownership, GI Bill wealth concentrating in white hands. That's not welfare, that's white reparations. See, the system they now defend is the same one that paid their ideological ancestors to oppress us, and they paid their immigrant ancestors to replace us. That's why when they mock reparation for us, they're defending a lie that already benefited them. Now the illusion cracks. When I'm looking at the current polls, I'm looking at how President Trump has endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy, and then I'm looking at who really may win the Ohio's governor's race, even though they're stating that it's close. So Vivek still may have a chance to be a puppet of white supremacy. And the white Christian nationalist race is white. Not all Republicans or people on the right are racist that are white. I'm not stating that. But those ones know who exactly I'm referring to. And if he does become Ohio's mayor, he's going to be a puppet. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. But they have Dr. Amy Action predicted as a clear front runner and possibly the winner to be the next governor of Ohio, and not Vivek Ramaswamy. And is it Ramaswamy or Ramaswamy? I don't know. But now the illusion cracks. I'm just telling you guys how it is. Because Vivek gets booed at his rallies. D'Souza jokes get racial, and Candace Owens is sidelined, but again, she's #1. The same right that built its empire on diversity optics retreats back into its natural shape: white, Christian, male, and very, very furious. That's called your Nick Fuentes, by the way. And as they eat their own, We see it clearly. They were never a movement. They were a marketplace, because when power is your God, loyalty is just a lease. And the minute your color stops converting, your contract expires.
That's what she said.
Ravik's fall isn't just about politics. It's about an illusion of inclusion. Every immigrant who enters the American right, believing merit will outrun melanin, learns the same rule that foundational Black Americans have already known for centuries. You can play the game, but you will never own the board, and you'll never win until you understand the history, the laws, and the lineage that built this country's racial hierarchy. You'll always be a guest in a house built on someone else's grave.
I've made a huge mistake.
See, this is where we don't whisper the truth. We document it. Ravik's story is an outlier. It's a mirror. It's a reminder that every brown mouthpiece of white supremacy eventually meets the same silence they once sold to us. You can't out-white whiteness. That's what they're trying to do at each and every turn. You can't out-hate history. And you can't fix America by pretending racism is a misunderstanding. See, that's the fallacy that they're feeding themselves. And I hope that they stop or just realize what they're truly got themselves into. Because the truth isn't immigrant friendly or partisan. It's permanent.